This video is brought to you by SoccerPro.com, bringing you everyday low prices with no membership fees. Be sure to use coupon code SR4U at checkout to receive $10 off any order of $100 or more.
Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you a first look plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas PrimeKnit 2.0. Now, as you guys can see, it does come in a standard Adidas box. We'll open it up, and on the inside, they do include a couple of extras to go along with the shoes. The first extra is this extra set of purple laces. The second thing they include is an extra set of comfort insoles. These are essentially the exact same insoles you would normally get with a pair of F50 Adizeros. In fact, the little band actually does say F50 Adizero. Obviously, these insoles have the PrimeKnit branding on top, and essentially all you get here is the synthetic suede liner on top and a single layer of foam. Nothing too fancy, but it's nice to have those extra insoles to go along with the perforated ones already in the shoes. Other than that, all you're going to find inside the box are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the second generation PrimeKnit soccer cleat / football boot from Adidas that I have to say I'm really impressed with. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a complete overview of the shoe, talking about tech specs, talking about how they fit, and basically just cover everything you could possibly want to know about the PrimeKnit 2.0. So if you're interested in learning more about this particular shoe, please stick around, watch the entire video. As far as the release is concerned, these guys retail for $300 US, and it is a limited edition release. They only made 10,000 pairs worldwide. They aren't individually numbered or anything like that, but they won't last long. 10,000 pairs may seem like a lot, but spread out across the entire world, it actually isn't very many. So if you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, I suggest picking them up right away. If you click the very first link down below in the description of this video, it'll take you to the review page on my website, where you will find buy it now links along with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you can actually pick these up below their $300 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, act quickly. First link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. Before we get into the specifics of the PrimeKnit 2.0, I want to talk about PrimeKnit technology as a whole, how it has evolved over the years, and of course how it differs from Nike's Flyknit technology. Now what I have right here in gray is the original PrimeKnit soccer cleat / football boot that Adidas released to the public. If you guys want to watch my review on this particular shoe, I'll leave an annotation on screen. All the details are covered in that video. Essentially what the takeaway is for this video though, is what PrimeKnit Generation 1 is all about. This is a knitted upper with a pretty consistent pattern, as you guys can see, and what's different about this shoe versus the PrimeKnit 2.0 is how they've created structure with the actual knitted upper. Now the knitted material, or the yarn that they've used on this particular shoe, is infused with a plastic type of material. So essentially what they would do is they knit the entire shape of the upper, and then they apply heat to certain areas that require more structure and rigidity. That heat would melt the plastic in the yarn, that plastic would then cool and harden, and it would leave you with structure in the areas of the upper where you need it, and a more sock-like flexible feel in the areas that you don't. It sounds like a great concept, but the actual execution certainly was not perfect. It looks the part, it definitely has the appearance of a sock-like knitted upper, but to the touch, it's actually quite rigid, and it just doesn't have that sock-like feel. It's pretty hard, and like I said, just didn't deliver on the sock-like experience that I think Adidas was really pushing with this particular shoe, and just with knitted technology in general. Now in the case of Nike's Flyknit technology, it creates structure by doing a couple different things. One, they vary up the pattern, so you can see along the main area of the foot on both the Superfly and the Magista Obra, they're quite different. The Superfly is a lot thinner, a lot less dense, whereas the pattern in the Flyknit on the Obra, like I said, is a lot more structured, a lot more dense, but the end result is pretty similar in that they're both sock-like in terms of flexibility and feel and comfort on your foot. You're going to find an elasticated section through the middle as well as in the dynamic fit collar that kind of makes for a compression feel. And then of course they do add kind of third-party elements to the shoe to create that little bit of extra structure and responsiveness in the form of the Brio cables that run from the base of the sole into the lacing system, as well as internal support cages that I can't actually show you guys, but I can assure you that they are actually there. And then of course the final element that you'll find on these Flyknit models we didn't see on the original PrimeKnit shoe is of course that Nike skin covering, a protective layer for the actual knitted material itself. Now with the PrimeKnit 2.0, it's a lot more like Nike's Flyknit technology than it is PrimeKnit Generation 1. The actual material that they've used, the yarn that they've used, is a lot softer, does not appear to have that same type of plastic infusion about it. So again, it's a lot more similar to Nike's Flyknit material in terms of the actual type of yarn. The pattern that you can see that the upper is knitted is a lot more varied as well. You're going to find more open knit in the front area of the shoe, more structured knit in certain areas, and then you're actually going to find very dense knit in kind of all the high stress zones, which is really, really interesting. You're also going to find on the inside of the shoe, you get a closer look at it in just a second, an elasticated element to the PrimeKnit upper as well. So again, they've incorporated a lot of elements that we do see on the Magista Obra and the Superfly 4, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I know a lot of people will view it as copying. I don't necessarily see it that way. And then of course, the final thing that they did add is of course a skin type of top layer to protect the actual PrimeKnit or knitted upper itself. Not Nike skin, of course, but obviously something very, very similar, both to the touch as well as visually. So when comparing the PrimeKnit 2.0 to other knitted models on the market, I really don't think it should be compared to the first PrimeKnit shoe, and more so to the Superfly 4 and the Magista Obra in terms of what Adidas is actually giving us here with the knitted upper on the PrimeKnit 2.0. As far as tech specs go, I have to say I am thoroughly impressed with what Adidas has achieved here with the PrimeKnit 2.0. Often with these limited edition releases, the final product kind of comes across as more of a concept shoe that they charge a premium for, as opposed to a shoe that's ready to be worn and is going to perform at the highest level. I get that sense 100% with the PrimeKnit 2.0, and it really does feel like a finished product. This could be a fifth silo right now if they wanted it to be, and it's one of those shoes that honestly I wish was a general release and not a limited edition shoe, because I really do feel strongly that this is going to be a top end performer for multiple different reasons. Of course, the shoe does have its quirks, which of course we're going to be talking about in today's video. But like I said, as a limited edition shoe, this is one of those models that really does get me excited, and I can't wait to try out. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to want to see a playtest video. That is something that I'm definitely interested in doing. And if you guys would like to see something like that, let me know down below in the comment sections. And if enough of you guys want to see it, it's something I will get to working on right away. So the main reason why you would buy this shoe is of course for the PrimeKnit upper. It's a knitted construction. Obviously that's been extremely successful for Nike with their Magista Obra and Superfly 4 models. We now see it here still in limited quantities from Adidas in the form of the PrimeKnit 2.0. And like I mentioned, it is extremely different coming from that original PrimeKnit model in a very good way. So you can see that the pattern on the upper differs quite a lot. Because of the actual coloring that they went with, the actual knitted aspect of the shoe I don't think is quite as evident as what you're going to find from Nike's Flyknit models, especially because you don't really have any exposed knitted material. You have a much more open knitted pattern here in the forefoot and striking area of the shoe. You have a more structured knitted pattern running through the midfoot on both the lateral and medial side. And then you have an extremely dense knitted pattern in all the kind of solid darker blue, darker purple areas that run pretty much across the entire upper in the main high wear zones along the laces as well as along the border where the sole plate meets the upper. And all of that is actual knitted pattern. It's not there just for looks. It's actually part of the upper, which is really, really impressive. Now, of course, on the outside, you do have their vacuum skin layer. And the reason why they call it vacuum is because you can see that it kind of is pulled into the actual knitted pattern itself. It's not just sitting on top. It just kind of fits in every single little crease. So it does have that little bit of texture to the touch on the outside. It's a pretty smooth finish. There's really no extra grip to this shoe whatsoever, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And they kind of target this as control knit in this area because of the actual structure of it. For the most part, the shoe is pretty thin across the entire foot. It does have some slight padding to it just because it is kind of a softer knitted material. But again, no shoe is going to improve your control. No shoe is going to aid your touch on the ball. It's really about providing a certain feel, and from what I can tell, this shoe is definitely going to be on the thinner side in terms of touch on the ball. You can see it does have an off-centered lacing system where the laces are pushed slightly to the outside of the shoe, kind of a similar layout to the Nitro Charge or even the Predator. For whatever reason, this shoe reminds me a lot of the Nike Hypervenom Phantom, just based on the shape and the way the lacing is cut and stuff like that. So you have a lacing system that runs pretty deep into the shoe, which is really, really nice. It does actually feature a tongue, but that tongue is not completely separate to the rest of the upper. You have the little cutouts in the tongue as well, where the laces are kind of hidden. A unique little element, not necessarily something that's going to improve the performance, but something that does definitely give the shoe a particular look. It does have a lower cut in the heel area, and then at the very back in the Achilles tendon area, it goes extremely high. high, which is probably the one element of the shoe that I'm personally not too crazy about. They say it's going to offer a more anatomical fit, and I guess they kind of have something there, but for me, it's more of a marketing gimmick than anything. There's really no reason for the shoe to go that high up the back. And as you guys will see when I actually put the shoes on my feet, it kind of curls out a little bit. So this top part isn't necessarily making contact with the back of your foot. I suppose if you have issues with heel slippage or something like that, having the slightly higher back may help you to keep your heel locked in place a little bit. But for the most part, it's more of a gimmicky element, something that I think they incorporated on the shoe just to give it a slightly more distinctive look, which obviously it does have with like that very, very high back. Now, the tongue itself is a PrimeKnit knitted material. As you guys can see, there's a fused on top layer, and then there actually is a little padded material running through the underside as well. So you have that little bit of extra padding just for added comfort, kind of removing any kind of lace bite or anything like that. And then when you move on to the inside of the shoe, that's where it really, really gets interesting in how it differs from Nike's Flyknit models. Now you can see the tongue is attached to basically two elasticated pieces that run into the base of the actual sole on the inside of the shoe. So you have kind of an internal boot inside the upper, also made from PrimeKnit. Now this is supposed to be made from a stretchy Lycra type material, and it's stretchy, but it's not overly elasticated. It's definitely not like what you're gonna find in the dynamic fit collar of Nike's Flyknit models, but you do have that on both sides, and you can see it just goes right into the shoe, so your foot would essentially slide in the middle, and this center part on the inside is basically just holding your foot in place. So even prior to tying the laces tight, it's still gonna have that nice tight locked in feel, even though it's not necessarily a one-piece upper. So very, very interesting implementation here, and this eliminates any kind of extra structure other than the PrimeKnit material running through the midfoot of the shoe, which is really, really interesting. No fly wire, no Brio cables, no internal supports, just two layers of a PrimeKnit, essentially an elasticated layer and then a more dense layer for the actual upper itself. So it does have some thickness through the midfoot area of the shoe, despite how thin that initial layer might actually be. So just keep that in mind. And again, it's just a really interesting element of the shoe, and it really does feel quite good when you put them on your foot. The fit of this shoe is really remarkable, and of course we'll talk about that more a little bit later in the video. Now, something that's a little bit more difficult to show you guys is in the forefoot area, where there is actually some internal support. Trying to show you guys, it's a little bit difficult to see. Maybe you can see it right there. See that purple stuff, that purpley pink stuff? That is actually an internal fused on support layer in the forefoot area. Again, they have to add some structure to the shoe in order to prevent it from moving around. You're gonna find that same type of internal support on both the Superfly 4 as the Magista Obra, as well as the Magista Obra, sorry. So not necessarily something uncommon for a knitted type of shoe like we see right here. The insole that does come with it, along with the extra ones that I already showed you guys. This is the lightweight variation. You can see the branding right there. PrimeKnit branding. Mesh liner on top, perforations throughout, and this is essentially the old lightweight insole that we used to get with the F50 Adizeros, at least in 2014. The heel liner itself is a synthetic leather material, which is really, really nice. You have this kind of elasticated kind of material lining the edges here, which really doesn't do anything. It's just there for looks, which I think it looks pretty cool. And then moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern, this is obviously just what you find with the 2015 F50 Adizero. Nothing completely new here. Obviously, it's going to perform the same. It's that same kind of more flexible plastic material, which is really, really nice. And then, of course, you do have the firm ground stud pattern that is really, really aggressive and just performs really well on firm natural grass playing surfaces. It's designed after a sprint spike, which is why you have this kind of very aggressive, almost spine-like sharp little studs that run through the middle, and then in between the main studs in the forefoot. Really does perform well. And again, if you're looking for that very aggressive bite when pushing off, very aggressive traction in general, this stud pattern is definitely going to provide that for you. So that's pretty much it as far as all the tech specs and what you should know regarding the PrimeKnit 2.0. Very interesting shoe, really does have a lot to offer as far as performance is concerned. And next we're going to move on to a quick weigh-in so you can see how lightweight these guys are. As far as weight is concerned, the new PrimeKnit 2.0 is a lightweight shoe, but it certainly doesn't feel particularly light either in hand or on feet. And we're going to see exactly what they weigh in real time using this scale, and we're also going to be comparing it to the 2015 F50 Adizero. Keep in mind both of these shoes are in brand new condition and both in the exact same size 9 US. We'll start off with the 2015 F50, which does have the exact same sole plate and stud pattern. Throw it on the scale, and you can see that it weighs in at 7.05 ounces, the equivalent of 200 grams exactly. So it's a pretty lightweight shoe. We'll change the scale back to ounces, pull these off, throw on the PrimeKnit 2.0, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.95 ounces. So they're almost a full ounce more than the 2015 F50, the equivalent of 225 grams. So you're talking about a 25 gram weight difference. Is it significant? No, not at all. You'll notice a slight difference in weight when the shoes are in your hand. When they're on feet, I would say the weight difference is not as noticeable because this shoe just fits so well. It has that nice tight one-to-one sensation, a perfect wrap of your foot, and just feels very comfortable because of the PrimeKnit upper. So if weight is a really important thing to you, I guess it's worth noting that the PrimeKnit 2.0 isn't as light as the 2015 F50, and it's not as light as the Superfly 4 or the Magista Obra, for whatever that's worth. But again, if you're looking for that sock-like type of feel, if you want that F50 traction pattern, like I said, the weight to me is not the downfall of this shoe by any means. It's very manageable, and I'm actually quite happy that they're at that 8-ounce range. All right, so here is a look at the PrimeKnit 2.0s on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock purple laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of reflective lime green SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, check out the website sr4ulaces.com. It'll be linked in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, I'm really impressed. They're extremely comfortable. They have that sock-like level of comfort. They're flexible, but at the same time, they don't lack structure. They have a nice responsive feel and just a nice tight wrap overall. So because of that, like I said, it does have a tighter fitting shoe. It's got the same base as the F50 Adizero. So it is a similar shape to that shoe, but the overall feel on your foot is a lot different. They're flexible, they're soft, break-in time I don't think is going to be an issue whatsoever. And in comparison to Nike's Flyknit models, they just feel a lot more normal from the first time that you put them on, because it is more of a standard construction with obviously a low cut in the ankle and heel area as opposed to the shoe being mid-cut. So like I said, I don't think there's going to be too much kind of getting used to time with this particular shoe. You're going to be kind of ready to wear them from right out of the box, and they'll feel really good. Of course, you do have that kind of thing at the back going a little bit higher up. It's something that will kind of make contact with the back once you kind of move your ankle around, but isn't really noticeable when you actually have them on your feet. So for those that were worried that that was going to cause some kind of discomfort issue, so far from what I can tell, as long as that area of your heel is covered with a sock, it's not something that you feel whatsoever. And again, I think it's something that they incorporated just to give the shoe a slightly more distinctive look as opposed to an actual performance element. Through the midfoot, it does have a very tight wrap around your foot due to that kind of enclosure system that they have with the elasticated PrimeKnit that is attached directly to the tongue. It does make the shoe a little bit more difficult to put on and take off, but once your foot is actually in there, like I said, it locks it in place and just gives you that very secure sensation. It's definitely not a wide fitting shoe by any means, so if you do have really wide feet, probably not the best option for you. And because it is a knitted upper, I don't suspect that these things are going to stretch at all. So the way that they fit from right out of the box is the way that they're going to fit for their entire lifespan. As far as the sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that's it for my first impressions of the PrimeKnit 2.0 from Adidas. This is, in my opinion, definitely a step in the right direction for Adidas's PrimeKnit technology. The shoe fits extremely well. It's comfortable, provides a sock-like feel, which is what I think people are looking for from this style of soccer shoe. And I'm personally a big fan of this firm ground stud pattern and sole plate that they've kind of taken from the F50 Adizero line to put on the PrimeKnit 2.0. So overall, I think this is going to be a very solid performer. Can't wait to try these out. Again, let me know down below in the comment section if you guys would be interested in seeing a playtest video. I personally really want to do a traction test video as well, because I'm curious to see what kind of support and structural integrity this PrimeKnit upper is actually going to provide, given that it really doesn't have any internal support other than what you're going to find fused on the inside of the forefoot area. So that's something that I definitely plan on doing if you guys do want to see it. So if you guys do have any suggestions as far as videos you'd like to see of the PrimeKnit 2.0 from here forward, let me know down below in the comment section. And also, if you have any questions at all, leave your questions down below in the comments as well, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. If you guys are, again, interested in a pair of these for yourself, check out the review page on my website. First link down below in the description. On that review page, you'll find detailed images of the shoe that I took myself, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you can actually pick these up below their normal $300 retail price. And again, they are limited edition, so pick them up while you can. This is not a shoe that's going to go on sale. Other than that though, guys, subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.